Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit by Joel Chandler Harris. Chapter 1. The Creatures Go to the Barbecue. "Once 'pon a time," said Uncle Remus to the little boy. "But when was once upon a time?" the child interrupted to ask. The old man smiled. "I 'speck 'twuz one time or two times, and maybe a time and a half. You know, when Johnny Ash cake 'gun ter bake. Well, 'twuz long in dem days. Once 'pon a time," he resumed, "Mr. Man had a garden so fine dat all de neighbors come ter see it. Some 'ud look at it over de fence, some 'ud peek thoo de cracks, an' some 'ud come an' look at it by de light er de stars. An' one un um wuz ol' Brer Rabbit. Starlight, moonlight, cloudlight, de night light wuz de light fer him. When de turn er de mornin' come, he 'uz always up an' about, a feelin' purty well, I thank you, suh. Now, den, you done hear what I say. Dar wuz Mr. Man, yander wuz de garden, an' here wuz ol' Brer Rabbit." Uncle Remus made a map of this part of the story by marking in the sand with his walking cane. "Well, dis bein' de case, what you 'speck gwine ter happen? Nothin' in de roun' worl' but what been happenin' sence greens an' sparrowgrass wuz planted in de groun'. Dey look fine, an' dey tas'e fine, an' 'long to'rds de shank er de mornin', Brer Rabbit 'ud creep thoo de crack in de fence an' nibble at um. He'd take de greens, but leave his tracks, mo' speshually right atter a rain. Takin' an' leavin', it's de way er de worl'. Well, one mornin', Mr. Man went out in his truck patch an' he fine sump'n missin'. A cabbage here, a turnip dar, an' a mess er beans yonder. An' he ax, how come dis? He look 'roun', he did, an' he seed Brer Rabbit's tracks what he couldn't take wid 'im. Brer Rabbit had left his shoes at home an' come barfooted. So Mr. Man, he call his dogs. Here, Buck, here, Brinjer, here, Blue, an' he sick um on de track, an' here dey went. Ooh, you'd 'a' thunk dey wuz runnin' atter 40 lem rhinoceroses fum de fuss dey made. Brer Rabbit, he hear um comin', an' he put out fer home, kinder doublin' 'roun' like he do deze days. When he got ter de p'int whar he kin set down fer ter rest his face an' his han's, he tuck a poplar leaf an' he 'gun ter fan hisse'f. Den Brer Fox come a trottin' up. He say, 'Brer Rabbit, what's all dis fuss I hear in de woods? What de name er goodness do it mean?' Brer Rabbit kinder scratch his head an' 'low, 'Why, deyer tryin' fer ter drive me ter de big barbecue on de creek. Dey all ax me, an' when I 'fuse, dey say dey ain't gwine ter make me go anyhow. Dey ain't no fun in bein' ez populous ez what I is, Brer Fox. Ef you wanter go, des git in ahead er de houn's an' go lickety-split down de big road.' Brer Fox roll his little eyes an' lick his chops whar he dribble at de mouf, an' put out ter de barbecue. An' he ain't mo' dan made his disappearance 'fo' here comes Brer Wolf. An' when he got de news, off he put. An' he ain't mo'n got outer sight 'fo' here comes ol' Brer B'ar. An' when he hear talk er de bakin' meat an' de big pan er gravy, he sot up on his behine legs an' snorted. Den off he put, an' he ain't got outer hearin' 'fo' Brer Coon come rackin' up, an' when he got de news, he put out. So dar dey wuz, an' what you gwine do about it? It seems like dey all got in front er de dogs got behime um, an' Brer Rabbit sot by de creek side laughin' an' hittin' at de snake doctors. An' dem po' creeturs had ter go clean past de barbecue, ef dey wuz any barbecue, which I don't skacely 'speck der wuz. Dat what made me say what I does. When you git a invite to de barbecue, you better find out when and whar it's at, and who's runnin' it." End of chapter 1. Chapter 2. Brer Rabbit's Frolic. The little boy, when he next saw Uncle Remus after hearing how the animals went to the barbecue, wanted to know what happened to them. He was anxious to learn if any of them were hurt by the dogs that had been chasing Brother Rabbit. The old darky closed his eyes and chuckled. "You sure is asking something now, honey." Under his hat, if he had any, Brer Rabbit had a mighty quick thinking apparatus, and most'n generally all de time de pranks he played on de yuther creeturs pestered 'em both ways a comin' and a gwine. De dogs done mighty well, long ez dey's had dealin' wid de little fry like Brer Fox and Brer Coon and Brer Wolf, but when dey run agin ol' Brer B'ar, dey sho struck a snag. De most vigorous wuz de identical one dat got the wust hurted. He got too close to Brer B'ar, and when he look at hisse'f in runnin' water, he tuck notice dat he wuz split wide open from flank to dewlap. Atter de ruckus wuz over, de creeturs hobbled off home de best dey could, and laid roun' in sun and shade fer ter let de cuts and gashes git good and well. When dey got so dey could sagactuate and pay der party calls, dey 'greed fer ter ensemble somewhars and hit on some plan fer ter outdo Brer Rabbit. Well, dey had der ensembly, and dey jarred and jarred, des like yo' pa do when he ain't feelin' right well. But bimeby dey 'greed 'pon a plan dat look like it might ought work. Dey 'greed fer ter make out dat dey gwine ter have a dance. Dey know dat ol' Brer Rabbit wuz allers keen fer dat, an' dey say dey'll give 'im an invite, an' when he got dar, dey'll ax him fer ter play de fiddle, an' ef he 'fuse, dey'll close in on 'im an' make way wid 'im. So fur, so good. But all de time dey wuz jowerin' an' confabbin', ol' Brer Rabbit wuz settin' in a shady place in de grass, a hearin' eve'y word dey say. When de time come, he crope out, he did, an' run 'roun', an' de fust news dey knowed, here he comes down de big road, boogity boogity, same ez a hoss dat's broke thoo de pasture fence. He sez he, "Why, hello, frien's, an' howdy too, 'kaze I ain't seed you all sence de las' time. Whar de name er goodness is you been deze odd come shorts? An' how did you fare at the barbecue? If my two eyeballs ain't gone an' got crooked, dar's ol' Brer B'ar, him er de short tail an' sharp tush, de ve'y one I'm a huntin' fer. An' dar's Brer Coon. I sho is in big luck. Dar's gwine ter be a big frolic at Miss Meadows, an' her an' de gals want Brer B'ar fer ter show 'em de rosin' y'all shuffle, an' dey put Brer Coon down fer de jig dey calls Rack Back Davy. I'm ter play de fiddle, sump'n I ain't done sence my oldest gal had de mumps an' de measles, befo' de same day an' hour. Well, dis mornin' I tuck down de fiddle fum whar she wuz a hangin', an' drawed de bow backards an' fur'ards a time er two, an' den I shot my eyes an' hit some er de ol' time chunes, an' when I come ter myse'f, dar wuz my whole blessed fambly skippin' an' sashayin' 'roun' de room, spite er de fack dat breakfus wuz ter be cooked. Wid dat, Brer Rabbit bowed, he did, an' went back down de road like de dogs wuz atter him. "But what happened then?" the little boy asked. "Nothin' 'tall," replied Uncle Remus, taking up the chuckle where he had left off. "De creeturs ain't had no dance, an' when dey went ter Miss Meadows, she put her head out de winder an' say ef dey don't go off fum dar she'll have de law on 'em." End of chapter 2. Chapter 3 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. Brother Bear's Big House. "Of all de creeturs," said Uncle Remus, in response to a questioning look on the part of the little boy, "ol' Brer B'ar had the biggest an' de warmest house. I dunno why nor wharfo', but I'm a tellin' you de plain fact, des as dey done tol' unto me. Ef I kin help it, I never will be deceivin' you nor lead you into no bad habits. Yo' pappy trotted wid me a mighty long time, an' ef you'll ask him, he'll tell you dat de one thing I never did do wuz ter deceive him whiles he had his eyes open, not ef I knows myse'f. Well, ol' Brer B'ar had de big house I'm a tellin' you 'bout. Ef he ever is brag on it, it ain't never come down ter me, yet dat is what he had, a big house, an' plenty er room fer him an' his fambly, an' he ain't had no mo' dan he need, 'cause all of his family was fat and had what folks call heft, the natural plumpness. He had a son named Simon, and a gal named Sue, not countin' his old 'oman, and they all lived with one an'er day after day, and night after night. And when one of 'em went abroad, they'd be expected home about meal time, if not before, and they sagaciated right along from day to day, washing the face and hands in the same wash pan in the back porch, and wiping on the same towel, same as all happy families allers does. Well, time went on and fotched the changes that might be 'spected, and one day there come a mighty knockin' on Brer B'ar's door. Brer B'ar, he holler out, he did, "Who dat come a knockin' dis time of de year? For de corn's done planted and de cotton crops pitched." De one at de door make a big noise and rattle de hinges. Brer B'ar holler out, he did, "Don't tar down my house. Who is you anyhow, and what you want?" And the answer come, "I'm one, and darfin' not two. If you're more than one, who is you, and what you doin' in dar?" Brer B'ar, he says he, "I'm all de one and mighty nigh two, but I thank you fer to tell me yo' full family name." Den de answer come, "I'm de knocker and de mover befo', and if I can't climb over, I'll climb under if you do but give me de word. Some calls me Brer Polecat, and some a big word that it ain't wuff while to remember. But I wanter move in. It's mighty cold out here, and all I meets tells me it's mighty warm in dar whar you is." Den ol' Brer B'ar say, sezee, "It's warm 'nuff fer dem what stays in here, but not nigh so warm fer dem on de outside. What does you reely want?" Brer Polecat spawn, he said, "I wants a heap of things that I don't get. I'm a mighty good housekeeper, but I takes notice that there's mighty few folks that wants me to keep house fer 'em." Brer B'ar say, sezee, "I ain't got no room fer no housekeeper. We ain't skacely got room fer to go to bed. If you can keep my house on de outside, you're mighty welcome." Brer Polecat say, "You may think you ain't got no room, but I bet you got as much room as anybody what I know. If you let me in dar one time, I bound you I'll make all de room I want." Uncle Remus paused to see what effect this statement would have on the little boy. He closed his eyes as though he were tired, but when he opened them again he saw the faint shadow of a smile on the child's face. "'Tain't gwine to hurt you fer to laugh a little bit, honey. Brer Polecat come in Brer B'ar's house, and he had such bad breath that they all had to get out, and he stayed and stayed twel time stopped runnin' agin him." End of chapter 3. Chapter 4 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit treats the creeturs to a race. One sultry summer day, while the little boy was playing not far from Uncle Remus's cabin, a heavy black cloud made its appearance in the west and quickly obscured the sky. It sent a brisk gale before it, as if to clear the path of leaves and dust. Presently there was a blinding flash of lightning, a snap and a crash, and with that the child took to his heels and ran to Uncle Remus, who was standing in his door. "Dar now!" he exclaimed, before the echoes of the thunder had rolled away. "Dat dust and wind and rain puts me in mind of de time when ol' Brer Rabbit got up a big race fer to pleasure de yuther creeturs. It was de mos' funniest race you ever heard tell on. Brer Rabbit went way off in de woods twel he come to de Rainmaker's house. He knocked and went in, and he axed de Rainmaker if he kin fix it up so dey kin have a race 'tween Brer Dust and Cousin Rain, fer to see which kin run de fastest. De Rainmaker growled and jowered, but bimeby he 'gree, an' he say dat if 'twuz anybody but Brer Rabbit, he wouldn't give it but one thunk. Well, dey fixed de day, dey did, an' den Brer Rabbit put out to whar de creeturs wuz stayin' an' told um de news. Dey dunner know how Brer Rabbit know, but dey all wanter see de race. Now him and de Rainmaker had fixed it up so dat de race would be right down de middle er de big road, an' when de day come, Dar's where he made the creature stand. Brer B'ar at the bend in the road, Brer Wolf a little further off, and Brer Fox at a point where the crossroads was. Brer Coon and Brer Possum and the others he scattered about up and down the road. To them what has to wait, it seems like the sun stops and all the clocks with him. Brer B'ar done come growlin', Brer Wolf some howlin', and Brer Possum some laughin', but atter while cloud comes up from summers. 'Twasn't such a big cloud, but Brer Rabbit knowed dat Cousin Rain was in dar 'long wid Uncle Win'. The cloud crope up, it did, twel it got right over the big road, and den it kinder dropped down a little closer to the ground. It looked like it kinder stopped like a buggy fer Cousin Rain to get out, so dar'd be a far start. Well, he got out, 'kase the creeturs kin see him, and den Uncle Win, he got out. And den, gentlemens, the race begun fer to commence. Uncle Win hept up befo'. He had his bellows wid him, and he blowed it. Brer Dust got up from whar he wuz layin' at, and come down the road a whirlin'. He stricken ol' Brer B'ar first, den Brer Wolf, and den Brer Fox, and atter dat all de yuther creeturs, and it come mighty nigh smifflicatin' 'em. Not never in all yo' born days is you ever heard such coughin' and sneezin', such snortin' and wheezin'. And they all looked like they was painted red. Brer B'ar sneezed so hard dat he hatter lay down in the road, and Brer Dust come mighty nigh buryin' him. And 'twuz de same wid the yuther creeturs. Dey got de years, de noses, and de eyeses full. And den Cousin Rain come along a pursuin' Brother Dust, and he come mighty nigh drownin' 'em. He left 'em kivered wid mud, and dey was wuss off dan befo'. It was de longest 'fo' dey kin git de mud out'n de eyes and de ears, and when dey git so dey kin see a leetle bit, dey tuck notice dat Brer Rabbit, 'stidder bein' full er mud, wuz ez dry ez a chip, ef not drier. It made 'em so mad dat dey all put out atter him and tried der level best fer to ketch, but ef der wuz anything in de roun' world dat Brer Rabbit's got, it's supple foots, and 'twa'n't no time, for the yuther creeturs can't see ha'r nor hide of 'em. All de same, Brer Rabbit ain't bargain fer to have two races in de same day. "But, Uncle Remus," said the little boy, "which beat, Brother Dust or Cousin Rain?" The old man stirred uneasily in his chair and rubbed his chin with his hand. "They tells me," he responded cautiously, "dat when Cousin Rain can't see nothin' er Brother Dust, he thunked him beat. But he holler out, 'Brother Dust, whereabouts is you?' And Brother Dust, he holler back, 'Yo' hatter scoosin' me, I fell down in de mud and can't run no mo'.'" End of chapter 4. Chapter 5 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit's flying trip. Dar once was a time when most er de creeturs got mighty tired of Brer Rabbit's capers, and dey 'sembled, dey did, grass and meat eaters, browsers and grazers, and likewise de bone scrapers, fer ter see what dey kin do. Brer B'ar wuz dar wid his big fur suit on, and ol' Brer Wolf fetched his big howl along, and when everything was ready, wid a long loud hoot on, here come ol' Simon Swamp Owl along, a tooting of his too-whoot. Dar wuz ol' Brer Fox, suh, wid his black socks, suh, and a heap er creeturs dat I don't hatter mention, some bow-legged and some knock-kneed in de hocks, suh, and dey all agreed fer ter hol' a convention fer ter stop Brer Rabbit's pranks. Brer Fox, he 'low he'll gi' a pot er gold, suh, ter de man what kin toll Brer Rabbit off, suh. Brer Buzzard say, "I'm a gittin' ol', suh, but I'll try my han'," and den he cough, suh, and de rest un um bowed der thanks. Now ol' Brer B'ar wuz a settin' on de chair, suh, so he stand up and move a motion. He up and 'low, "Le's erse'ves right here, suh, fer ter thank Brer Buzzard whiles we're in de notion, and not put it off till some other day." And den dey had it up and down, suh, 'sputin' 'bout what dey oughter do. Some wanter give 'im a flower crown, suh, ef he rid Brer Rabbit up dar in de blue, and drap him when he got halfway. Dey sont a runner atter ol' Brer Rabbit to ax him ter call an' 'ten' de convention, but ol' friend Wobble Nose had a queer habit er knowin' a thing befo' it wuz mention, an' he come 'fo' he got de word. He wiggle his nose an' wunk his eye. "Here sho is de man I wants ter see, suh! Brer Buzzard, I'm tryin' ter learn how ter fly." An' co'se Brer Buzzard gi' his agree, suh, an' all un um say he's a 'commodatin' bird. An' den Brer Buzzard half spread his wings, suh. He try ter look young, but he wuz ol', suh. He try ter strut an' walk wid a swing, suh. He wuz dreamin' 'bout dat pot er gold, suh, an' what he wuz gwine fer ter buy. Brer Buzzard ain't skacely got thoo wid his pride, suh, 'fo' Brer Rabbit lit right 'tween his floppers, wid "Now hump yo'se'f an' gimme a ride, suh! Ef you don't I'll hit you some whoppers when I git you up dar in de sky." Well, de creeturs grinned when Brer Rabbit riz, suh, an' made a big fuss accordin' ter der natur. Ez fer ol' Brer Rabbit, de pleasure wuz all his, suh. De ridin' wuz easy ez eatin' tater when it's biled an' made inter pie. 'Kaze under bofe wings he had a paw, suh, an' when Brer Buzzard try fer ter drap 'im, he'd scratch an' tickle 'im wid his claw, suh, an' when Brer Buzzard try fer ter flap 'im, he'd scratch an' wink his eye. An' wid his claws he tuck an' steered 'im from post ter pillar in de deep blue, suh. He'd holler an' laugh, all de creeturs heerd 'im. You know how you'd feel ef it had been you, suh, a waitin' fer some un ter fall. When ol' Brer Rabbit got tired er ridin', he steered Brer Buzzard right straight ter de groun', suh, an' den an' dar went right inter hidin'. When de creeturs come up, he couldn't be foun', suh, an' I 'speck an' I reckon dat's all. End of chapter 5. Chapter 6 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit and the Gold Mine. There had been a silence in the cabin for a long 10 minutes, and Uncle Remus, looking up, saw a threat of sleep in the little boy's eyes. Whereupon he plunged headlong into a story without a word of explanation. "Well, suh, one year it fell out dat de craps wuz burned. A dry drought had done de work, an' ef you'd 'a' struck a match anywhere in dat settlement, de whole county would 'a' blazed up. Ol' man Hungriness he natchully tuck up his clothes an' went paradin' 'roun' everywhere, an' de creeturs got bony an' skinny. Ol' Brer B'ar done better dan any un um, 'kaze all he hatter do wuz go ter sleep an' live off his own fat. An' Brer Rabbit an' his ol' 'oman had put some calamus root by an' saved up some sugar cane dat dey find lyin' 'roun' loose, an' dey got 'long purty well. But de balance er de creeturs wuz dat gaunt dat dey ain't got over it down ter dis day. De creeturs had de meetin' place whar dey could all set 'roun' an' talk de kinder politics dey had, des like folks does at de crossroad grocery. One day, while dey wuz all settin' an' squattin' 'roun' jowerin' an' confabbin', Brer Rabbit he up an' say, sezee, dat ol' Mammy Big Money tol' his great gran'daddy dat der wuz a mighty big an' fat gol' mine in dese parts, an' he say dat he wouldn't be 'tall 'stonished 'twa'n't somewhere close ter Brer B'ar's house. Brer B'ar he growled, he did, an' he say dat gol' mine better not let him find it, 'kaze atter he got done wid it, dey wouldn't be no gol' mine dar. Some laughed, some grinned, an' some gapped, an' atter jowerin' some mo', dey all put out ter whar dey famblies wuz livin' at. But I boun' you dey ain't fergit 'bout dat gol' mine, 'kaze fum dat time on, go whar you mought, you'd ketch some er de creeturs diggin' an' gravelin' in de groun', some in de fields, some in de woods, an' some in de big road, an' dey wuz so weak an' hongry dat dey kin skacely gabble fer fallin' down. Well, dis went on fer de longest, but bimeby one day dey all 'gree dat sump'n bleeze ter be done, an' dey say dey'll all take one big hunt fer de gol' mine an' den quit. Dey hunted in gangs, wid de gangs not fur fum one an'er, and it so happened dat Brer Rabbit was in de gang wid Brer Wolf, and he knowed dat he hatter keep his eyes wide open. All de creeturs hatter dig in different places, and whiles Brer Rabbit wa'n't much of a grabber, he had a way of makin' de others believe dat he was de best er de lot. So he made a heap of motion like he was tearin' up de earth. Dey ain't been goin' on dis long before Brer Wolf holler out, "Run here, Brer Rabbit, I done found it!" Brer B'ar and Brer Fox was both diggin' close by, and Brer Rabbit kinder wunk one eye at de elements, and he says he, "Glad I fer yo' sake, Brer Wolf, git yo' gold and joy fer yo'se'f." Brer Wolf say, "Come get some, Brer Rabbit, come get some." Ol' Brer Rabbit 'spond, "I'll take de leavin's, Brer Wolf. You take what you want, and den when you got enough, I'll git de little bit I want." Brer Wolf say, "I want ter show you sump'n." Brer Rabbit 'low, "My eyes ain't big fer nothin'." Brer Wolf say, "I got a secret I want ter tell you." Brer Rabbit 'low, "My years ain't long fer nothin'. Des stan' dar an' do yo' whisperin', Brer Wolf, an' I'll hear every word you say." Brer Wolf ain't say nothin' but make out he's grabbin', an' den all of a sudden he make a dash at Brer Rabbit, but when he git whar Brer Rabbit wuz at, Brer Rabbit ain't dar no mo'. He done gone. Weak an' hongry ez he is, Brer Wolf know dat he can't ketch Brer Rabbit, an' so he holler out, "What's yo' hurry, Brer Rabbit? Whar you gwine?" Brer Rabbit holler back, "I'm gwine home atter a bag fer ter tote de gold you gwine leave me. So long, Brer Wolf, I wish you mighty well." And wid dat, he put out fer home. End of chapter 6. Chapter 7 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit gets Brer Fox a hoss. Not many of de creeturs wuz fond er water, unless it mought 'a' been Brer Coon's daughter. Brer B'ar, Brer Fox, and ol' Brer Rabbit, dey vowed dat dey can't never git in de habit er wadin' de creek er swimmin' de river. When it comes ter dat, dey'd run ter kiver. When folks come 'long fer ter git across, de creeturs tuck notice dat dey rid a hoss. Brer Fox, he say he wish he had one, an' 'mongst all de others he'd be de glad one. He git a bridle an' a bran new saddle, an' git on de hoss an' ride 'im straddle. He says he'd do some trottin', 'kase when I git started I'm a mighty hot un. Brer Rabbit, he smole a great big smile, wid, "I can't ride myse'f, 'kase I got a bile. But it seems like ter me dat I knows whar a hoss is. He's away back yon whar two roads crosses. An' I'll meet you dar termorrer mornin', des about de time when day's a dawnin'." Brer Fox, he say, "I hear yo' sesso, an' ef I ain't sick, I'll be dar desso." Brer Rabbit tip his hat wid, "So long, friend, we'll git de hoss, you may depend." Long 'fo' de time, Brer Rabbit wuz a stirrin', an' he chuckle ter hisse'f like a cat a purrin'. De hoss wuz stretched out asleep in de pasture. Brer Rabbit went up ez close ez he daster. Fer ter see ef he 'live, hoss twitch his tail, suh. "Dis time we'll git you widout fail, suh." So Brer Rabbit say, den he seed Brer Fox, an' a nur fine gent fer ter git in a box. Den he say out loud, "Good luck done sawin' 'im, an' laid 'im down right whar you want 'im. Ef you're tied ter his tail you kin sholy hol' 'im, an' mo' dan dat, you kin trip 'im an' roll 'im." So said, so done, an' dar Brer Fox wuz, right close ter de place whar a heap er hawks wuz. Brer Rabbit, he holler, "Hol' 'im down, hol' 'im down!" Dis make 'im stay right sprang on de groun'. De hoss, he riz wid a snort an' a whicker, an' showed dat he wuz sump'n uv a kicker. An' den an' dar, Brer Rabbit 'gun ter snicker, wid, "Hol' 'im, Brer Fox, 'twon't do ter flicker. Ef you make 'im stan' still, you kin ride 'im de quicker." De hoss, he roarin' an' raise a mighty dust up, an' fust thing you know, Brer Rabbit hear a bust up. I hope, Brer Fox, dat you ain't much hurt, but yo' wife will be mad, 'kase you done tored yo' shirt. End of chapter 7. Chapter 8 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit finds the moon in the mill pond. Oh, one bright day in de middle er May, Brer Rabbit was feelin' fine. He tuck to de road an' never knowed de place whar he wuz gwine. Oh, fur an' free, sezee, siree, no gal kin change my min'. Brer Tarrypin sly, he wunk one eye underneath his green gourd vine. He holler an' say, "Whar you gwine dis day, wid yo' pipe an' walkin' cane?" Brer Rabbit wave his hand like a gal do her fan. My heart's 'bout to bust wid pain. I'm a heap too nice, I ain't laughed but twice sence de big Janawary rain. My day'll be done ef I don't have some fun. Dey'll call me Sunday Jane. I'll get solemn colic ef I don't have a frolic. My head'll get flabby an' swink. I'll chaw de pine bud 'kase I'm 'bout to lose my cud, an' some nights I don't sleep a wink. Ef I has to sit still, oh, I'll wear de green willow an' go in mournin' wid de mink. But I bet you a hat dat 'fo' I does dat, I'll show 'em all a new kink. So off he put on his nimbles foot, wid a grin, a laugh, an' a cough. To Miss Mott's an' Miss Meadows an' all de udders he tell what is gwine ter come off. 'Twuz a mill pond fishin', an' he lef' um a wishin' dat de win' don't blow fum de norf. An' de creeturs all befo' long an' tall, an' dem no bigger dan a dwarf. Brer Wolf an' Brer B'ar all say dey'd be dar, an' dey promise fer ter fetch a seine. Dey 'gree ter de day, an' Brer Rabbit say dat day don't hatter come ef it rain. So said, so done, an' when de time come, de big road ez well ez de lane wuz fill wid a crowd, all talkin' out loud, an' a prankin' wid might an' main. Brer Rabbit wuz dar, wid Miss Holly Har', a waitin' fer de fun ter begin. He shuck his shank an' went ter de bank, an' made like he gwine ter jump in. But de sight he saw made him drap his jaw an' break up a great big grin. He says ter Brer Coon, "Run here an' see de moon a floatin' widout a fin." He look agin, she sho fell in, an' we got ter git her out. Ef she stays in de pond, it's good by John, an' of dat dey ain't no doubt. We got ter have light when we play at night, fer ter see how ter git about. We'll drag wid de scene, ef we don't drag in vain, we'll have good reason ter shout. But when it comes ter singin', der wuz some complainin' 'bout who wuz ter do it all. Dey all make out dat dey want ter wade out, but it fell on dem dat wuz tall. Brer B'ar he laugh ez he tuck a staff. Brer Wolf say he fear he'd fall, but he tuck his place wid a mighty wry face. An' when dey 'gun ter haul, "Oh, you better bet dis water's wet! I feel des like a sponge!" An' den dey all, wid a kick an' a squall, wid a squeal an' den a lunge, grabbed at de water, which dey hadn't oughter, went over der heads wid a splunge. Brer Rabbit bent double. "Oh, all er yo' trouble fills me full er fun, yun, yun, yun!" End of chapter 8. Chapter 9 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. How Mr. Lion lost his wool. 'Twuz des such a day ez dis dat Mr. Lion lost his wool, remarked Uncle Remus to the little boy. Mr. Man tuck a notion dat de time done come fer him fer ter have a hog killin', an' he got 'im a big barrel an' fill it half full er water fum de big springs. Den he piled up 'bout a cord er wood, an' ez he piled, he put rocks 'twix' de logs, an' den he sot de wood after an' befo'ds an' in de middle. 'Twa'n't long 'fo' dey had de hogs kilt an' eve'ything ready fer ter scrape de har off. Den he tuck de red hot rocks what he put in de fire an' flung um in de barrel whar de water wuz, an' 'twa'n't long 'fo' dat water wuz ready fer ter bile. Den dey tuck de hogs, one at a time, an' soused um in de water, an' time dey tuck um out, his ha'r wuz ready fer ter drap out by de roots. Den dey'd scrape um wid sticks an' chips, an' dey ain't leave a ha'r on um. Well, bimeby dey had all de hogs kilt an' cleaned an' hauled off, an' when eve'ything wuz still ez a settin' hen, ol' Brer Rabbit stuck his head out fum behime a bush whar he been settin' at. He stuck his head out, he did, an' look all 'roun', an' den he went whar de fier wuz, an' try fer ter warm hisse'f. He ain't been dar long, 'fo' here come Brer Wolf an' Brer Fox, an' den he got busy. He say, "Hello, frien's, howdy an' welcome. I'm des fixin' fer ter take a warm baff like Mr. Man gi' his hogs. Won't you jine me?" Dey say dey ain't in no hurry, but dey help Brer Rabbit put de hot rocks in de barrel, an' dey watch de water bubble, an' bimeby, when eve'ything wuz ready, who should walk up but ol' Mr. Lion. He had a mane fum his head plumb ter de een' er his tail, an' in some places it wuz so long it drug on de groun'. Dat would make all de creeturs fear'd of 'im. He growled an' ax um what dey doin', an' when Brer Rabbit tell 'im, he say dat's what he long been needin'. "How does you git in?" "Des back right in," says ol' Brer Rabbit, sezee, an' wid dat, Mr. Lion backed in. An' de water wuz so hot, he try fer ter git out, an' he slipped in plumb ter his shoulder blades. You kin b'lieve me er not, but dat creetur wuz scalded so dat he hollered an' skeered everybody fer miles aroun'. An' when he come out, all de wool drapped out, 'cep' de bunch you see on his neck an' de leetle bit you find on de een' er his tail, an' dat'd come off ef de tail hadn't 'a' slipped thoo de bung hole er de barrel. With that, Uncle Remus closed his eyes, but not so tightly that he couldn't watch the little boy. For a moment the child said nothing, and then, "I must tell that tale to mother before I forget it." So saying, he ran out of the cabin as fast as his feet could carry him, leaving Uncle Remus shaking with laughter. End of chapter 9. Chapter 10. How Brer Rabbit got a house. Oh, once 'pon a time, all de creeturs tuck a notion dat dey'd build a house, an' fix it so ez ter keep out de skeeters, an' fix it up nix cummy rouse. Dey all wuz dar, fum de b'ar ter de 'possum, Brer Wolf, Brer Fox, Brer Coon, wid ol' Brer Rabbit fer ter standin' 'roun' an' boss um, 'kase dey hatter have de house right soon. Brer Rabbit, he wuz busy, oh yes, mighty busy, not doin' of a blessed thing. Ef he climb de scaffold, he say he'll git dizzy, so he measure an' mark an' sing. Dey build a house, an' it sho wuz a fine un, made er poplar an' oak an' pine. De littlest room wuz a 7 by 9 un, whar de sick could go an' whine. Brer Rabbit, he wait, an' when de time come, he chosen a upsta'r room, an' dar he sot, ef I kin make de rhyme come, a singin' hark fum de tomb. An' den he got what he ain't had oughter, ez all de creeturs said, a gun, a cannon, an' a tub er water, an' hid um under his bed. When de creeturs come home, Brer Rabbit wuz ready, an' he tell 'em he gwineter set down. "Well, set," says dey, "an' we'll try ter be stiddy." An' wid dat, Brer Rabbit kinder frown. Bang, bang went de gun, de barrels wuz double, an' de creeturs wuz still ez mice. Brer B'ar, he say, "Dey mus' be some trouble, but I hope he don't loosen de j'ist." Brer Rabbit, he say, "Whereabouts must I spit at?" An' Brer Wolf answer wid a grin, "Des wharsomever you kin make it hit at." Brer Fox, he rub his chin. Brer Rabbit, he tuck de tub er water an' empty it all on de stars, an' it come nigh drownin' Brer Coon's daughter, an' likewise one er Brer B'ar's. Brer Rabbit say, "When I sneeze, I'll skeer you, an' I hate fer ter have it ter do." Brer Fox say, "We'll lissen an' hear you. Des go right ahead wid yo' sneeze-a-ma-doo." Boom-a-lime went de cannon, and de creeturs dey lit out thoo window sash and do', any way dat dey kin git out, and dey ain't come dar no mo'. End of chapter 10. Chapter 11 of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit and the Partridge Nest. Oh, what's de matter wid de whippoorwill, dat she sets and cries on de fudder hill? And what's de matter wid Miss Bob White, dat she choke herself wid sayin' good night? You know mighty well dat sump'n is wrong when dey sets and sings dat kinder song. Twix a call and a cry, twix a weep and a wail, dey must be tellin' a mighty sad tale. Miss Whippoorwill's troubles and what she say will do fer to tell some yuther day. But Miss Bob White, my, ain't she a sight? I'll hatter tell you why she hollers good night. There once was a time, needer more nor less, when she ain't try to hide ner kiver her nest. She built it in the open, where all can see, and was des as polite as she can be. She'd make her house facin' east and west, and then wid eggs she'd fill her nest. Fer to keep 'em warm, she'd brood and set, and keep her house from gettin' wet. Whiles dis gwine on, Brer Rabbit come by, a wigglin' his mouth and a blinkin' his eye. "De top er de mornin', Miss Bob," sezee. "De same to you, Brer Rabbit," sez she. Sez ol' Brer Rabbit, "I been missin' you long. I was mighty feared dat sump'n wuz wrong. But here you set ez still ez a mouse, not doin' nothin' but keepin' house." "Oh, well," sez she, "I'm too old ter gad. I used to do it, but I wish I never had. De only thing I want is ter wash my dress, but I can't do dat whiles I'm on my nes'." Brer Rabbit, he say, "Can't I help you out? I ain't doin' nothin' but walkin' about, an' my ol' 'oman is willin' fer ter bet dat if settin's de thing, I'm ol' man set." "I know mighty well," says Miss Bob White, "if you set a tall, it'll be done right. Thank you do, Miss Bob, go wash yo' dress, an' I'll do what I can fer ter cover your nes'." So off she put, wid a flutter an' a flirt, an' washed her dress in a pile er clean dirt. Brer Rabbit sees de eggs an' shook his head, his mouf 'gun ter dribble an' his eye turn red. Sezee, "It'd sholy be hard fer ter match 'em, so I'll take 'em home an' try fer ter hatch 'em." So said, so done, an' den when he come back, he come in a gate 'twix' a lope an' a rack. An' Miss Bob White, atter washin' her dress, went a runnin' back ter house an' nes'. "Much erbleege, Brer Rabbit," an' den she bowed. "Say nothin', ma'am, fer ter make me proud, 'kaze I been a waitin' here frettin' an' sweatin' for fear I ain't sech a good han' at settin'. My ol' 'oman say I got a slow fever, an' I 'clar' ter goodness I'm ready ter b'lieve her. I felt sump'n move, I heard sump'n run, an' de eggs done gone, dey ain't na'er a one. I sho is seed sights, I done hear folks talk, but never before I seed eggs walk." "My goodness me!" says Miss Bob White, a peepin' in de nes', "you sho is right." An' y'ever sence den, when darkness falls, she gives de lost chillun her good night calls. An' y'ever sence den, when darkness falls, she gives de lost chillun her good night calls. End of chapter 11. End of Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit by Joel Chandler Harris.